Today I'm going to tell you about some of the most mysterious disappearances of people, which might involve regular criminals or even supernatural forces and UFOs. Jamie Fraley was 22 when she vanished without a trace. She got into a car that was supposed to take her to the hospital, telling a friend that he had come for her. After that, she was never seen again. In 2006, she started dating Ricky Simons Jr. Her family said she was head over heels for him, and they eventually got engaged. However, Simons had a criminal past, and after several minor crime arrests, he was sentenced to 15 months in jail for theft in early 2007. On April 7, 2008, Fraley fell ill with gastroenteritis. Since she didn't have a driver's license, she relied on social workers, friends, and family to take her to the hospital and back home. After returning from her first hospital trip, one of Fraley's friends visited her and picked up her dog, which Jamie had been looking after, and then left to buy Jamie's prescription medication from the local pharmacy. She returned later. Ricky Simons Sr., the father of her incarcerated fiancé, who lived in the same housing complex and did maintenance work there, took her to the hospital, and another neighbor drove her back. Around midnight, Fraley decided her condition had worsened and she needed to return to the hospital. Fraley never made it to the hospital for the third time. After Fraley missed an important meeting the next day, her family went to her apartment on Lowell Bethesda Road to check on her. They didn't find her there. There were no signs of a struggle, so they concluded she had left voluntarily. Not finding Jamie, they called the police to report her missing. The Gaston County Police launched a massive investigation involving all their detectives, 3 of whom dedicated full time to the case and sought help from the FBI. 2 days after Fraley's disappearance, utility workers found her phone at an intersection about 1.5 kilometers from her apartment. By the time the phone was handed over to the police, too many people had handled it to retrieve any useful clues, such as fingerprints. Ricky Simons Jr., Fraley's fiancé, was still in custody at the time of her disappearance, so investigators ruled him out as a suspect. They quickly focused on his father, Ricky Simons Sr. He also had a criminal record, including 6 years in prison for manslaughter in the 1980s after he strangled his girlfriend. Simons Sr. lived in the same complex as Fraley, just 2 apartments away from her, and did maintenance work there. He drove her to the hospital for the second time on the day of her disappearance, making him one of the last people to see her that day. It is reported that he was obsessed with Fraley. He refused to take a lie detector test. However, 2 months after Fraley's disappearance, the investigation into Simons Sr. ended with his death. He died very mysteriously. On June 7th, Kim Spranger, Simons Sr.'s former girlfriend, who had recently obtained a restraining order against him, noticed a foul smell in her car. The smell didn't go away, and the next day she opened the trunk. Inside, Spranger found Simons' body. The police investigation found that he had a set of keys to her car. Spranger's purse had been stolen from the car a week earlier. The cause of death was determined to be accidental heat stroke. The temperature in the area had exceeded 32 degrees Celsius in the previous days. The police speculated that Simons used the keys to get into the trunk, intending to ambush Spranger at some point, releasing himself using the emergency latch. However, when heat stroke set in, he may have panicked and forgotten to use it, remaining in the trunk to die. Jamie Fraley's case remains open, and Simons Sr. likely took all its secrets to his grave. The majestic Mount Nyangani in the beautiful desert north of the eastern highlands in Zimbabwe, standing at 2,592 meters, has been associated with mysterious events for centuries. Particularly interesting are the disappearances of people, similar to those occurring in the Bermuda Triangle. The local Manica people have long believed that a vengeful spiritual presence inhabits Mount Nyangani in Zimbabwe. Local folklore says the mountain is a sacred place that inhabitants have long feared and should only be approached with caution. Locals and tourists who have been to Mount Nyangani report strange phenomena: compasses and clocks with spinning hands that then just explode, photographs that don't display correctly, weather that becomes strange and unpredictable, and wind that howls so loud it deafens. A dense fog appears everywhere, seemingly chasing tourists. Several fatalities have occurred on the mountain when visitors got lost and fell into gorges or cliffs when a mysterious fog appeared out of nowhere. Locals say that when you encounter a strange, colorful snake, a smoldering clay pot without fire, or a golden brick, it's best to pretend you saw nothing and move on. A recent notable disappearance incident on Mount Nyangani is the case of Zaid Dada, a 31-year-old tourist from Zimbabwe of Indian descent. Early in the morning on January 4, 2014, Dada, along with his wife and and another couple, climbed the mountain, and he has not been seen since. The tourists said that halfway up, when everyone was tired and decided to rest, Dada walked away to admire the landscape. When Dada did not return, his companions began to search for him, but they did not find him. The Zimbabwean army and police, as well as many professional climbers and volunteers, began a large-scale search. All routes were thoroughly searched, but to no avail. An even stranger case occurred in the 1980s when a high-ranking U.S. government official and two companions suddenly disappeared during a picnic on Mount Nyangani. In total, they were missing for 4 days and all searches were fruitless. After reappearing, the trio claimed that they aimlessly wandered but did not feel tired, thirsty, or hungry for 4 days. They saw people searching for them but could not signal, feeling invisible, and could not call for help. Only after tribal leaders performed a sacrificial ritual were the 3 missing people found again. Strangely, all 3 say that although they were gone for 4 days, it seemed like only a few hours. Similarly, a 20-year-old British tourist named Thomas Gaisford disappeared while exploring Mount Nyangani in November 2014. Thomas reached the mountain's summit. However, around 3 p.m., Gaisford saw a thick fog descending on the mountain, which seemed to want to engulf him. Disoriented, Gaisford decided to set up camp to wait out the bad weather. In the pitch darkness of the night, he suddenly saw many animals circling the tent, staring at him without blinking. Gaisford wrote, "I prayed for about 10 hours. Some scary snakes crawled up to me. I did nothing to irritate them. I'm still confident I can handle this." The next day, when the fog cleared, I woke up and descended the mountain. Most local tribes often tell stories about angry wandering spirits, forbidden zones where souls are kept. Tribal elders have long warned that one must follow the mountain's rules, not to anger the spirits guarding the sanctuary. According to locals, if you know and follow the mountain's rules, you will be safe. The only way to bring back these lost people is through extremely strict rituals, imploring these spirits for forgiveness. There are many other explanations related to extreme weather conditions that can change suddenly, but a convincing explanation is still lacking. Very recently, the American TV show Stargate revealed that Mount Nyangani is one of 4 alien military bases on Earth. But there's a more believable explanation tied to the weird mountain terrain. It creates unusually dense clouds that can really throw climbers off. Plus, the landscape's also tricky because of all the sharp or straight-up rock formations, layers upon layers of stone steps, overgrown trails, forest trees, and heavy erosion. Even a hint of fog can put tourists in a tough spot, cause injuries in the fog, make them unable to find a way out, and worst-case scenario, fall off a cliff and suddenly die. Nowadays, if you want to explore Mount Nyangani, you gotta cough up a fee, like $5 an hour, to have an experienced guide with you. You gotta have cell phones and fully charged flashlights too. The tale of 47-year-old Kenny Veach, which has been haunting fans of all things mysterious and mystical for a decade now, involves him setting off to find a mysterious cave in Nevada and then just vanishing into thin air. He'd already posted videos of his search on his YouTube channel, and people are still puzzled about how such an experienced adventurer could just disappear. Kenneth Lee Veach was a hardcore traveler with a ton of travel experience under his belt. He'd always packed the bare minimum of gear, food, and often ventured out solo. Some folks online think he didn't really disappear but did it for the attention, but is that really the case? In October 2014, Kenny Veach headed out to the Nevada desert, not his first rodeo in that area. He stumbled upon a super strange cave there. According to him, the entrance was shaped like a perfect M. As he got closer, he was hit with this unexplainable fear, and a vibration ran through his body. He talked about this unusual find in a comment under a YouTube video. The video he commented on was about the supposed story of a technician's son who worked at the secret U.S. base known as Area 51. A bunch of YouTube users asked him to go back to that unusual cave and film his trip. Kenny agreed to search for the cave again, this time with a pistol and a video camera in tow. After a while, he uploaded a video on his channel, showing, as promised, his quest for the mysterious cave. The second trip wasn't successful, and Kenny couldn't find that cave again. His viewers started calling him a liar, so he vowed to search a third time. On Monday, November 10, 2014, Kenneth set out once more to find the mysterious M-shaped cave. He told friends and family he was going on a short overnight trip and would be back by morning. Sadly, no one ever saw Kenny again. His worried family reported him missing to the police. The next day, a massive search operation for the man began, with the police scanning vast areas of the Nevada desert. Helicopters, volunteers, rescuers, and concerned folks were all roped in for the search. The search went on for more than 10 days, but Kenny was nowhere to be found. During the search, volunteers only managed to find his cell phone. Kenneth's car was found parked near Las Vegas. The phone was lying in a canyon near an old abandoned mine. There was hope that he might still be alive and might have fallen into it, but he wasn't in the mine. Kenneth's daughter, Victoria Veach, mentioned that her dad was highly experienced and knew a lot about surviving in the wild. During the investigation into Kenneth's disappearance, many theories were floated. One theory was that he fell prey to wild animals, like a mountain lion. The area where the traveler went is also known for having many venomous snakes. An accident could have also happened. Reddit users speculate that Kenny might have been abducted by the military. He had been near secret US bases multiple times and might have seen something that night. What really happened to the man and where he disappeared to remains a mystery to this day. After a while, a few bloggers retraced Kenny's route and tried to find the mysterious cave on their own. One of them posted a video where he found a strange cave, the entrance to which seemed to be deliberately blocked. Getting closer to solving Kenny Veach's mystery remains elusive to internet sleuths to this day. Frederick Valentich was an Australian pilot who disappeared while on a training flight over 232 kilometers in a light aircraft, Cessna 182L. On the evening of Saturday, October 21, 1978, 20-year-old Valentich informed Melbourne Flight Service that an aircraft was following him about 300 meters above and that his engine was running rough before finally stating, "It's not an airplane." Frederick Valentich had about 150 hours of flight time. His license allowed him to fly at night, but only under visual meteorological conditions. Valentich had applied twice to join the Royal Australian Air Force, RAF, but was rejected due to insufficient education. He was a member of the RAF Air Training Corps, aspiring to a career in aviation. Valentich was studying part-time to become a commercial pilot, but his performance was poor. He failed all 5 exams for his commercial license twice, and a month before his disappearance, he failed 3 more exams. Additionally, he had several infractions during solo training flights. According to his father, Guido, Frederick was a staunch believer in UFOs and was worried they might attack him. The destination of Valentich's last flight was King Island, but the reasons for his flight are unknown. He told airline staff he was heading to King Island to pick up some friends, and he told others he was going to catch crayfish. Later investigations revealed that neither stated reason was true. Valentich also didn't inform the King Island airport dispatcher of his intention to land there, contrary to standard procedure. On October 21, 1978, Valentich radioed Melbourne Flight Service at 7:06 p.m. to report an unidentified aircraft following him at an altitude of 1,400 meters. He was told there was no known traffic at that level. Valentich said he saw a large unknown aircraft illuminated by 4 bright landing lights. He couldn't confirm its type, but said it passed about 300 meters above him at high speed. Valentich then reported that the aircraft was approaching him from the east and suggested that the other pilot might be playing with him. He described the aircraft as orbiting above him and said it had a shiny metal surface and a green light on it. Valentich later reported having engine trouble. When asked again to identify the aircraft, Valentich radioed, "It's not an airplane." His transmission was then interrupted by unidentified noise described as metallic scraping sounds before the communication was lost. This was followed by sea and air searches involving ocean-going vessels, a Lockheed P-3 Orion aircraft, and 8 civilian planes. The search covered over 2,600 square kilometers. The search operation was called off on October 25, 1978, without any results. The investigation into Valentich's disappearance by the Australian Department of Transport couldn't determine the incident's cause. It's speculated that Valentich might have staged his disappearance, but how he could so effectively hide the plane raises questions. Another proposed explanation is disorientation and an inverted flight. The lights he saw could have been the reflection of his own aircraft in the water, and he might have crashed into the sea. However, the Cessna model he was flying couldn't fly inverted for long due to its gravity-fed fuel system. Astronomer James McGaha and writer Joe Nickell suggested Valentich was deceived by an illusion of a tilted horizon, leading his plane into a graveyard spiral. This could result in a descent to a collision with the water due to Valentich's misunderstanding of his position. Ufologists suggest aliens might have destroyed or abducted Valentich, citing the green light in the sky and evidence of a strange object emerging from the water near Cape Otway Lighthouse in photographs taken by plumber Roy Manifold on that day.